Let's talk about Euro 2024.
Nowadays, sometimes the national anthem is viewed as background noise or as a reminder to some about the problems, the real problems that we have as a country. But I look at it as a unique moment. We come together, we honor and we celebrate being citizens of the greatest country in the world. And I think that it is a tradition that should be preserved.
But mainly coverage of the tournament here in the United States. Specifically Alexi Lalas, a member of 2 World Cup teams, the first American to play in Italy's Serie A, a National Soccer Hall of Fame inductee. Lalas is simply a mainstay in the American soccer world, with his past serving as his legacy, including with his signature flowy red hair. Many networks have kept him on their roster to call games and serve as a studio analyst.
I'm going to stand, I'm going to put my hand over my heart, and I am going to sing. And I believe that all U.S. national team players should be required to do that, because just because we live in the land of the free doesn't mean that we are free to do anything that we want.
Some who were fans have soured. Others, when following the sport religiously, will say they were never a fan.
Last week, President Trump voiced support for the U.S.-Mexico-Canada joint bid to host the World Cup 2026 when he tweeted, "The U.S. has put together a strong bid with Canada and Mexico for the 2026 World Cup. It would be a shame if countries that we always support were to lobby against the U.S. bid. Why should we be supporting these countries when they don't support us, including at the United Nations?" Now, was this a threat? Yeah, but it did push the envelope, which is exactly what President Trump does. He took a page literally out of his own book. In The Art of the Deal, President Trump talks about his 11 tactics in business. Number 5, use your leverage. This is bringing the big dog in. And he's being used for his bark as much as his bite. But ultimately, he's being used to get the job done.
Post-playing days, he has shown his true character. He called Florida Governor Ron DeSantis a candidate who comes off as competent, confident, and full of common sense. What solidified the nod was when one user asked, "What's the best nickname for DeSantis? Meatball Ron?" DeSanctimonious Lalas replied, "I like POTUS."
The U.S. women's soccer team is a very good example of what's going on. Earlier this week, they unexpectedly lost to Sweden 3-0. And Americans were happy about it. You proved that point before I even said it.
Never forget how conservatives basked in the United States women's national team losing at the World Cup. Lalas appeared to take a swipe as well, which spoke volumes to his thoughts on the squad and gave us insights into his perception of the team. He'd reply to this message, which would read, "Weird watching Americans celebrate an American loss." Fair point. Lalas would bark back, "Don't kill the messenger. This United States women's national team is polarizing. Politics, causes, stances, and behavior have made this team unlikable to a portion of America. This team has built its brand and has derived its power from being the best/winning. If that goes away, they risk becoming irrelevant." Meadowlark Media's Jessica Smetana wisely put it as such. The portion of America he's talking about is himself. And just recently, he announced he will be heading to Milwaukee for the Republican National Convention. From The Athletic, he shared posts recently that appear sympathetic to Donald Trump and is in regular, playful combat with his social media detractors. He aligned himself with Carly Lloyd in their mutual feelings on the national team.
There's something not right, and I think that it's not one thing. There's multiple things that have just been spiraling out of control.
The critiques were constant as Lloyd and Lalas sat next to each other handling the studio duties for the World Cup. "What we had in the last several years was not a good culture," she would tell Lalas on his podcast. "The mentality changed and it became toxic," from the Nation's Dave Zirin, who had a tremendous write-up on all of this. Calling this team, your former team, toxic after it won 2 consecutive World Cups makes no sense. This is a team that stood in solidarity with each other and won a historic victory for equal pay, hardly the actions of people obsessed with their brand. This is the team that turned Lloyd into a star, and she did not turn down the endorsement offers that rolled her way for fear that they would distract her. At the Tokyo Games, Lloyd became the only U.S. player who refused to kneel to protest racism before the medal match against Australia. She wanted to shut up and play culture on the team, but she lost the leadership battle to the rollicking, protesting brand ambassador extraordinaire, Megan Rapinoe. It was her who made international waves in 2016 by being the first to kneel during the anthem. Then, in solidarity with Colin Kaepernick's efforts to raise awareness about racist police violence. After the years, it does appear that the American soccer fan has reached a boiling point with Alexi Lalas. Search his name and the takes are aplenty. One person remarked on Giorgio Chiellini's greatness, as well as Peter Schmeichel's, then noting Alexi Lalas had crazy red hair that one time 30 years ago. Billy wrote, Alexi Lalas on a panel with Daniel Sturridge and Peter Schmeichel is like parking a 2003 Ford Taurus next to a Ferrari and a Rolls Royce. Some even blame Lalas for the game's lack of growth, though let's just be fair and objective. It has grown and will continue. Many found joy in Daniel Sturridge's authenticity, sitting next to the former U.S. international on Fox's set. Josiah would even call Alexi Lalas a DEI hire. However, to Lalas, he remains unfazed. When I go on TV, he says, I put on a costume. And when that red light goes on, I don't want people changing the channel. I don't care if you like me or you don't. I am as human as I possibly can be, with the recognition that on television, things have to be bigger and bolder. Awful announcing would put, and that approach from Lalas has made him no stranger to backlash. Via Lalas himself, life is too short, and blank them, he says bluntly. He is accurate about one thing. Life is certainly too short. But that second part of the quote, quite revealing, isn't it? There's an element of poking the bear and being provocative that I enjoy, he would go on to say. When it comes to things off the field like politics, there is a cathartic release to being honest, especially in this day and age. There was a time we were all so bold, and now we live at times, unfortunately, in fear of the real backlash that can come from just saying something people disagree with. Whether it's politics or sports, I don't want to live in a world like that. Maybe this is just the way I retaliate. I'm not saying that it's smart or prudent, especially if it can be alienating to people. When it comes to separating the sports and the personal, sometimes they blur and sometimes they infect or affect the other side. But I will only live once, and I'd rather just be as honest as I possibly can, regardless of whether anybody listens or cares. As Tuna Fan wrote, who'd have thought the guy with the worst, most annoying takes in soccer has the worst, most annoying political opinions? Here's where I stand on this. I truly believe that Alexi Lalas is a polarizing figure, but that Fox knows what they're doing. Let me explain. They have the numbers, and we learned this through the Doug Gottlieb, Skip Bayless beef, that they pay attention to the social media analytics. Excuse me. And every time Alexi Lalas' name comes up, they view it as a win, whether in the right or in the wrong. And according to the soccer audience, he is in the wrong a lot. But it also goes to show what Fox believes in, and it is this. No matter the outcome, whether it is an Alexi Lalas type or an Emmanuel Acho type, they will continue to employ these people because no matter what they do, whether it is for love or it feels like, as the pendulum shifts to hate, they don't care. As long as you are watching these people and you tweet about them and you hate them and you say mean things about them, they do not give a flying four-letter word because they view it as good for business. We have seen the content model that they have taken up and that they have carried out over and over again for decades. More divisive could equal more clicks. And with that, they then package those numbers to advertisers to then sell it. Excuse me. I had a bar before this. And make more in return. But I will give a contrasting style, and I know the soccer audience agrees with me here. Alexi Lalas is divisive. Let's just be clear. And what he has shown to stand for with the two candidates that he has either praised or shown sympathy to speak volumes to the person that he is as well. There is no way of disassociating that. But think about this. You can have someone like Alexi Lalas, and we know much about him at this point in this piece, and compare that to the set that CBS has on the Galazzo show. And if you know, you know. Kate Abdo, phenomenal host. Thierry Henry, Jamie Carragher, Micah Richards. This is a fun, inclusive, hilarious, everyone wants to have a good time, laid back style show. And you contrast it with what Fox is putting out. I truly do believe that if you want to reach the bar, the peak, it is the Galazzo show, because they have said it. And I believe Fox is just trying to catch them.